Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Medevac Podcast. I'm your host, Christian Meyers, joined by our other host, David Reid.
Hello.
Before we hop into today's episode, please keep in mind there is a price if you listen to the show. That price, you must share it with one friend or family member, blast it out on social. Pretty much any sort of interaction is your cost today.
Push the like button, comment below, ask some questions. We got a great guest today who came back on the show from the third episode we ever had.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, Daniel Vargas. Thanks for being here today, man.
Thanks for having me again. It's great to catch up with y'all.
Yeah, same here. For those who don't know or haven't seen Dan's previous episode, go ahead and check it out. He does some pretty cool stuff. We touch on his history a little bit more in that episode. Today, we're going to focus a little bit more on military and veteran nonprofit organizations.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of which, you work for one.
Yes, president and founder of Operation Triage. We've been around since 2016. Mm-hmm. And what I like to say about our organization, we do everything outside the box.
Yes.
We do home repairs, home remodels, emergency financial aid. We've paid for funerals, car repairs, just a little bit of everything. It depends on
keeping a broad mission
family.
statement so that you can just help where needed, which is fantastic.
Yeah, because unfortunately with a lot of nonprofits, they're stuck in their bylaws that they only do this. And so when they get a veteran that comes to them, they can't do anything. And then
they're laser focused on whatever they're...
And there's veterans that just can't wait for the help. They can't wait to do an application, wait 6 months to find out they're going to be helped or not. They need help right away. So that's what we're trying to focus on.
Yeah, so individual grants, more or less, is what you're specifically focused on. Sir. So before we dive into Operation Triage a little bit more, give us a little quick recap of your military service, what you did in there so that everybody's not shuffling through episode 3.
Well, it's good for them to watch it again.
They should. Go watch the show.
I joined the military. I joined the Air Force in 1986, retired in 2007, did 20 years in the Air Force. Was mostly staff support, information management, information technology, but jack of all trades, master of none. I worked with, my first duty assignment was at Albuquerque, New Mexico at Kirtland Air Force Base. And I worked with special operations guys there for training, the pararescue guys. From there, I went to Desert Storm, Desert Shield, came back, went to Guam. From Guam, I did a stint at Fort Hood with the TACP guys, providing admin support and running orderly rooms in the command section. From there, went to Whiteman Air Force Base with the B-2 program, and then retired out of Randolph and stayed here in the area. I lived in New Braunfels for almost 20 years now.
Yeah, amazing stuff. It's kind of funny to just recap your whole life in 20 seconds.
It is. It's scary.
It is scary, but I mean, you compacted 20 years into that at the very least.
Yeah. It went fast. I was thinking on the way up here, I retired in 2007. That's like a decade ago almost, over a decade.
Yeah.
It's already. And it just went by like yesterday. I can remember the day I retired. And so many things since I retired has changed in the military and in the VA system in just that short amount of time also.
Yeah.
So many things.
So talk about a little bit the foundation that it helped create and mold who Daniel Vargas is today.
I'm going to tell you right now, the military for me was life-changing. It really was. Because I joined to get away, number one, to get some training and to get some experience because I wanted to join the police department in Houston.
Yeah.
And at that time, in 86, we had a big oil glut and Houston basically went bankrupt and they had to refocus on, trying to pay jobs and things like that. So they shut down the police academy and fire academy. And my police academy recruiter said, go to the military, get some experience. So I joined the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two is also to get away from home. I had a very dysfunctional home life. I didn't get along with either of my parents, having a lot of issues. And I felt it was going to be a good place for me to go and grow up, to learn. And then the biggest thing I got out of it was learning how to be a man from other older men that have had life experiences.
Yeah.
So that it helped me a lot. And it instilled in me, service before self, commitment to excellence. Mission first. If you do a great job, you get rewarded. And it's not all about that, but it's also great to know that it builds up your self-esteem that, you're entrusted with $1 million budgets, you're entrusted with people, with welfare, you're entrusted with taking care of folks. And it builds up your self-esteem. It's a great self-esteem builder. So, after 4 years, my first 4 years, I'm a re-enlist.
Yeah.
I really loved it. It was my niche. And then, I'm halfway to retirement by then, the second re-enlistment. So I was like, I'm in it for the long haul.
Might as well just stick it out at that point. Yeah.
And I really feel everything I learned in the Air Force and all the jobs I had prepared me for what I'm doing now with the nonprofit world.
Well, you got to experience a lot of different communities while you were in the Air Force. Given you weren't directly attached to one specific unit, you had the opportunity to bounce around and deal with operators or aviators.
Well, exactly, but it also got you, and to that point, it also got you to learn people from other sides of the country because it's a melting pot. The military is a huge melting pot, and you have to get along.
Yeah. And the adaptability that you have to have.
Exactly.
And be able to pivot just on a dime.
Yeah.
Especially 20 years, how many hats do you think you wore?
Oh my God. And crisis management. You learn crisis management. So it's funny that y'all say that because when I got out and I was working for other nonprofits that had a heavy civilian base, I used to always laugh because I'm like, they would freak out over the smallest things. I'm like,
what are you worried about?
This is nothing. We can get past this.
That's so funny that you mentioned that because I talk about that all the time, especially, in the nonprofit I help run, the Robert Irvine Foundation. Everybody has a tendency to freak out about small, minute details. And I always tell my team, I'm like, hey, no one's shooting at you.
Exactly.
Right?
We're not going to
So it can't be that stressful, right? Is it time sensitive? Is it urgent? Like, how do we prioritize, right?
Exactly.
And I think the military does a really great job of teaching you how to prioritize.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mission first, whatever it takes to get the mission done. And a lot of people focus on the civilian side, and I'm not bashing civilians. It's just a different, when you're in the military and you spend so much time in the military and you transfer over, it's a huge adjustment for military people because we don't call in sick. If you're sick, you got to go to sick call, get a note, go to your orderly room, and they put you on quarters.
Yeah.
You can't just say,
can't come in today.
I'm not coming in today. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so that was, those standards, it was hard to transition to civilian life and work with civilians when they're like, oh, I went out last night party. I'm just going to call in sick. I'm like,
you can't do that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
We form mental toughness in the military a little bit.
It's an exposure, overexposure to stress, right? We're constantly overexposed to stress in the military. There is no not get it done. There is only accomplish the mission no matter what.
Get comfortable.
Yeah.
Well,
being uncomfortable.
Find a way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck. I heard that a lot this weekend when I was in Scotland.
Yeah. Embrace the suck. Hey, the job sucks, but it's got to get done. Let's do it. And there was no it's not my job. That's the other thing that was hard to get used to is a lot of people on this side of the fence were like, well, that's not my job. I'm like, so what? It's got to get done. We'll figure it out later. You can finger point later, but let's get it done.
Another huge piece of civilian versus military is I think the measure of success is a little bit different. In the civilian sector, people are focused on success being a singular entity, right? Is if you're successful, that impedes on my ability to be successful. In the military, it's like, let's look to the left and right and make sure that, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
It's a team concept.
And bring them up.
It's a team concept in the military is, you all get recognized as a team or you all fail as a team. In the civilian world, it's like, well, how does it benefit me? It's me. And that's a hard thing.
That's it. That's that. Yeah, you hit it right on the head.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? And if this doesn't affect me, why am I going to help?
Exactly.
I think that's one of the reasons that veteran entrepreneurs or veteran businesses and MSOs and VSOs that have veterans running them do so well is because we can look past those barriers. We're not looking at for business, for instance, right? We own a veteran-owned business. We work a lot with what we would consider competitors. In a civilian space, no competitor is going to link up together to try to move forward and progress at the same rate. They're going head to head. That's one thing that I see a lot in veteran business as well as the MSOs and VSOs is we're going after a common goal. The goal is to continually help these people who are in need, the people that we care about, that we served with. We always come together instead of fighting each other. It seems that we have like an understanding of how to shift that and how to really take ourselves forward.
And what I always say, take that nonprofit feeling and implement it in a for-profit organization. You take on the world.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's so true. And the other thing is that we were taught. We're used to, in the military. You're used to change. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. You have a commander come and go. You have to change. Train your commander. You stay at a base 2 or 3 years. You get you move again. Yeah. Move the whole family. So you're used to change. You're used to constant change. Where a lot of people on the civilian side, I have a hard time with change. They don't like new things. And so when you try to inject new things on them, there's that tendency to pull away and not want to do it.
resistance to that change.
Yeah. I've heard a lot, well, we never done it that way. Okay, well, why not? Let's try it. Maybe it'll work. What's the worst? It's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
So
laziness.
do it.
There is a laziness to that as well.
That
as routine is comfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
Speaking of discomfort, I do want to dial back a little bit. You mentioned you were recently in Scotland, Dave.
Yes.
I want to hear a little bit about that since you just got back last night.
Yeah, speaking of
being
MSOs, BSOs. So you guys have heard me mention before the VP of Robert Irvine Foundation. We were just in Scotland doing a 54-mile hike in the Scottish Highlands with 1,000 coalition wounded from all over the world.
That's awesome.
Allied forces. So essentially what we do is we raise some funds for our allied forces. It's pretty amazing stuff. Very, very tough, but I think it gets you back in that mentality of overcoming adversity together.
Yes.
And having that reminder of challenging yourself to that level of what you did in the past, it projects you forward. It's a form of therapy for these guys.
Oh, totally agree.
And that's the whole thing of getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Is the military community is used to that. So it's kind of interesting that you bring that up in the civilian sector, that no one wants to do the work. No one wants to put in the work.
Well, I'm just getting into society itself. Right now, I see a lot of, one thing that bothers me, I'll just bring this up.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get into politics or anything, but free education.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no. Because I see when you don't have to work hard for something and you don't put your backbone into it, you don't appreciate it as much.
Exactly.
If you want a free education, there's a way to get it. Join the military. You can go to the military 2 to 4 years.
True story.
And get a GI Bill and get a free education. How many people join the military just to get the free education?
A lot of people do.
They serve.
Yeah.
So I feel there needs to be some kind of commitment to the country. If you want the country to cover your education, you give some back. Either military, Peace Corps, some kind of form of service.
People don't want to give anything. They just want it for free.
Well, and that's the problem with it. That's the problem right now. It amazes me that we still have a great group of people that volunteer to serve our country.
Yes.
It's an all volunteer force. And I really appreciate, and that's the reason I love doing what I do with Operation Triage, is taking care of those who have given more of themselves to others.
Mm-hmm.
And they care. And so when it really irks me when I hear, I deserve a free education, I deserve a handout. What do you deserve? What did you sacrifice for it?
What did you give up, or what did you put in to take out?
Exactly.
You want to know one of my favorite things that I've heard before? They pointed to my prosthetic leg and say, that's where our tax dollars are going.
Oh.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, I would have gone off.
The audacity. And all I do is smile because, we've done our job in the military so well that we've protected this country so well that you guys have no idea that we were even at war for 20 years.
We're a fast food society, unfortunately. Everybody wants things done fast.
And free and for doing nothing.
If another 9/11 happens, what's the first thing they're going to do? Put all the flags out, send them, we want revenge. 6 months later, they forget.
Yeah.
They're back in their little
It's
life.
not even 6 months. God, can you imagine, like the Ukraine, the whole country forgot about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. It was all over the news for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
unless it affects you directly, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
And trust me, I was just in the UK 2 days ago. And those guys are worried. They're worried. The security's tight. Everybody is
but we're spoiled
worried.
as a country. We haven't, besides 9/11, we've never been attacked like overseas. We never had a Bosnian situation where, Alabama hates Georgia. So
Pearl
Alabama's
Harbor and 9/11.
Yeah. But that wasn't compared to what is going on in Ukraine or what happened with the Bosnia and the Croatians and those types of things. We've never had to suffer. I mean, the last time this country's really had to suffer was World War II, when everybody had to make rations and stuff. Do you think we could go to war right now and ask everybody to cut back? I mean, people are complaining about gas prices now.
Yeah.
And don't understand, we're sacrificing gas to support Ukraine and get rid of this monster Putin out of their country.
Yeah.
But people are more worried about filling up their tanks. Yeah. Well, maybe it's time to cut back and start thinking about others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might come down to just a selfish mentality, or I think usually what it comes down to, from my understanding, is information overload, right? Or information anxiety. There's so much going on in the world. It's really hard for people to care about more than one thing at one time. You've got this issue popping up, whether it's veteran-based issues, or a political war going on, or the economy's collapsing, whatever it is. There is so much information going on.
And the lack of accurate information on top of that.
Yeah, it's hard.
You got to shuffle through the shit.
Yeah.
But I feel that as an individual, you have to go find out what's really truthful. You have to go read and understand. A lot of people.
Yeah, but can you trust it anymore? Can you trust it? You can't go to any.
No,
but we're dabbing into politics.
But unfortunately, they just watch the idiot box. That's all they get. The idiot box. They don't listen to anything. They don't listen. I have a good habit. I watch some CNN, I watch some MSNBC, and I watch some Fox. But then I go and read. I try to research.
And you look at the other side of the story.
Both
and
sides.
That's a huge thing, is that people have a tendency to reinforce their beliefs by going more and more and more extreme. That's not how things are analyzed, right? You have to look at both sides of the story and then use your common sense and your values, your morals, your ethics to come to a conclusion.
Well, Reagan said it best, trust but verify.
Mm-hmm. Trust but verify.
Verify everything. I'm okay, you're telling me something, but I'm going to go verify it.
Yeah.
Because there's some...
My thing is listen, but be skeptical.
Yeah.
Listen, but be skeptical.
Yeah.
So...
but that's... And you hit a great point. But really listen. Unfortunately, we have a habit of listening to reply, not listen to listen.
Yeah.
And one thing I
that
think
is
you learn,
very, very true. Yeah, listen to reply. They're waiting for their opportunity to speak. All right.
And hear what they really have to say. And then reiterate saying, okay, I understand what you just said. You said this, and this. Am I correct? And I can agree with part of it. Mm-hmm. This part I don't agree with. But that's where we got to get back to common ground. And it starts with our political leaders on down. Mm-hmm. They have to make, unfortunately, most of Congress is lawyers. What does lawyers get trained to do? Fight. I'm going to fight and win. That's their job. They don't want to listen to each other.
Yeah.
And that's where it's really got to start. We got to get back to a country where we have a Congress that is willing to compromise and reach across the aisle and say, hey, for the betterment of our country. And that's where I have a hard time as a veteran. We were always taught, you're sacrificing for your country. It's the betterment of your country. And I've kept that, even now.
Sacrifice your personal beliefs.
Yeah, for the betterment of the country. And so even if somebody gets elected I don't believe in, just like in the military, that's our leader. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say anything bad. Let's find out what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then vote, because, in the military, we weren't allowed to talk about politics. You weren't allowed to go protest and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
very much so.
we work for them.
It's a true story.
And so I feel that's where we need to get back to is compromise. We need to find common ground and not hate each other so much.
Mm. Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, if we get attacked by Russia, if we got attacked by China, they're not going to care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, white, black,
true
green,
story.
yellow. They're going to kill all of us.
And the mentality is going to switch drastically. And I think this is a good segue into the fact of this is why there is fantastic MSOs and VSOs out there that kind of bridge that gap, is being able to really take care of and fulfill what the government can't do right now, right? Because it's completely inundated. The VA, you ask anyone who's dealing with the VA right now, it's just a nightmare, But
it's also to have good relationships with those government entities, but it's also to keep them honest and own up to their mistakes and put their feet to the fire.
Great point.
Don't let them get away with it. Because I see a lot of nonprofits that want to be friends with the VA and they're like, oh, the VA is great and stuff. And they sugarcoat instead of saying, hey, you're doing this right, but this you're failing.
Yeah.
And call them out on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's, you got to be, in the military, you're used to open, honest criticism. How many times you get chewed out by your supervisor? I mean, reamed, and then you're at the NCO club having a beer with them and everything's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we got to get to with these government organizations. They got to own up.
It's just so bureaucratic at this point. That's what gets me is like, you're waiting in a line to get to another line and to another line.
But see, I blame that on Congress stuff because every time there's a problem with the VA, they throw money at it, but they don't really track where the money is going. How is the VA spending it? So when they had the wait appointment fiasco, where they're everybody was on backlog on appointments and they were covering it up and people were dying waiting for an appointment to be seen for cancer and so forth. The U.S. government Congress threw money at them, but where did the money go? They didn't hire more doctors or more nurses. They hired more administrators. So you could be on a floor at the VA where you have a certain amount of doctors and lawyers, and doctors and nurses, and for every one of them, you might have 4 administrators watching over them. The administration doesn't do anything except paperwork.
I mean, and you had a pretty interesting story with your experience.
I just finished with the VA. I've been battling with the VA for like 3.5 years. I did a full I had to do like a full investigation with them to get my GI Bill approved. When I started using my GI Bill, I'd been in for over 7 years at this point. They're like, you haven't been in the military for more than 6 months. I'm like, what are you talking? I've been on 2 deployments that were both 6 months long each. Like, what are you talking about? And just recently, I had to go to the White House. I had to call the White House to get my VA stuff approved. I was waiting on my compensation and pension to finally kick in a full year after getting out.
Yeah.
And when I would call, it would say, we don't know where it's sitting right now. I'm like, you're the direct liaison to tell me where it's sitting. Go up the whole supervisor chain, nothing. And this went on for months. I would call once or twice a week for months.
And the problem is the people you get on the other side of the phone, most of them just don't care.
They don't care.
That's one of the biggest issues. They don't care. I have a Vietnam veteran. That while we're working on a home for another veteran, we went to a town hall meeting and Mr. Brown was there, Kevin Brown. And after I left, he called me up and says, hey, my neighbor, lives in a mobile home and it's falling apart. Rain gets in. He just had a stroke. There's holes in the floor. All I want to do is fix the roof. And I said, well, let's go out there and see what the whole issue is. Mm-hmm. So we went out there and we're like, the first determination, he's a new home. But the one thing I do with the veterans is like, okay, where are you at with what's your VA rating? Mm-hmm. What's your disability? What are you bringing in? Because they were going to a church food pantry to get food. They were below poverty. Yeah. He was only getting 10%. He's a Vietnam veteran, blown up in Vietnam, Purple Heart, and severe PTSD. Still has PTSD.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't know if y'all know this, the VA didn't even claim PTSD as a disability rating until 1980. It wasn't an issue. So imagine Vietnam, Korea, World War II and World War I were not getting any kind of treatment or rating from the VA for PTSD. Even though they already knew about shell shock, even they already knew about 1,000-yard stare, all that. Not until 1980 did they make it official that they were going to rate it. Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, disgust me.
1980. Here's a Vietnam veteran. I called the VA. I got all his records and I started calling. And the first thing I noticed is they never sent him to get evaluated for PTSD. The VA just kept denying him. Every time he submitted and so he got tired and stopped submitting. He was only getting 10%.
So he was applying and they were denying him without any appointments.
Without sending him to go get evaluated by their own psychiatrist, which they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Kept denying him. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to the media with this. Yeah. And all of a sudden he got an appointment.
Yeah. Go figure.
In less than 5 months, he went from 10%. Now he's at 100%, which he deserved decades ago.
Yeah. He probably should have had since the 70s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least since 1980 when they started seeing it.
How different would that individual's life be?
All it took was somebody on the other side of that phone to look at his records and say, oh, we haven't evaluated you. Let's send you for an evaluation. It shouldn't have took me to do it.
No.
It shouldn't have took me to raise
Tell him about the veteran who was saying, if I can't get help, they're going to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We knew a veteran.
Yeah. Who this will disgust you as well. They were dealing with the VA, very similar issue to mine. And he was coming down to the point. He's like, listen, I'm going to get kicked out of my house and I won't go homeless. I will kill myself
before I go homeless.
And the fucking VA representative egged him on. Was like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. And that left it at that.
There's a suicide hotline. Didn't even give him the number.
None of the information. Yeah, he asked the guy on the other side of the phone, like, are you a veteran? Yeah, I'm a Navy vet. How disconnected are you at that point? That you were talking to someone that you likely could have served with. You have the ability to make a difference in their life, and you go out of your way to do the opposite. How misguided are you at that point?
Yeah,
crazy.
They send people like that to us. I hear it all the time. I deal with veterans all the time. I mean,
and that's why we have you on the show again, because we need to showcase these resources that are out there. These MSOs, VSOs are doing more than our own government is doing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I could attest to this. I had a Canadian CSM talk to me on this trip to Scotland, and he busted out in tears to me. He was like, "We don't have anything like this in Canada." And as much as we talk about it, and we do, talk about the discrepancies and issues that are within the system, there is, valiant organizations out here that do bridge that gap so well. And this guy was in tears because his country wouldn't do something like that.
And I'm not saying all the VA is bad, because there's a lot of great doctors over there, a lot of great nurses. There's a lot of great people that work the benefits side. It's just
and there are people who care.
Yeah,
there is a lot of people who care.
You just have to peel back the onion to find them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And one thing we're very fortunate with Texas is Texas has their own state-run organization called the Texas Veterans Commission that has a lot of benefits and so forth. But one of the greatest things they do is they have people that can help you with your benefits. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing the VA is great at is, so if you get out, you have to go apply for your benefits, your disability benefits, you have your medical record and so forth.
Yep.
But if you don't word the paperwork just right, the VA is going to kick it back.
Yep. Every time.
So you need, and have you ever tried to do one of those packages? I can't do it. I've worked with veterans for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
It's impossible to word it right. So I always tell people, if you're here in Texas, Texas Veterans Commission. If you're out of state, Parts Association. There's a lot of great associations that they train their people to help you write those packages. And that's where veterans need help. The other issue I've been running into is older veterans. Everything's automated. Well, there's a lot of older veterans, Vietnam veterans, World War II. They don't know how to get on a computer. They don't know how to do all that. They can't do it. And then when COVID came, it really set them back.
Yep.
They don't know how to do that stuff.
Made it impossible.
You gotta know your audience and take care of your audience. Mm-hmm. Help them do the paperwork. Help them, it shouldn't. I wish to God we didn't need to be around, but thank God we are, because there's a lot of veterans, like you said, that would fall through the crack, and suicide rates would be even worse.
Yeah.
Right now they're saying 20 veterans a day commit suicide. And of that, 65% of those are veterans that are over the age of 50. Because they get to that higher age where your ailments really start to affect you. You really need the help. You don't know how to do all the electronic system stuff, so you feel like you're becoming a burden to your family, so they're killing themselves.
Yeah. And then you lose your sense of purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah. So much red tape for them to navigate through. It seems like an impossible task.
Oh, yeah.
They don't think they can get to the end, especially, if you're dealing with PTSD, if you're into your 50s, you've likely been out of the military for 10, 20, 30 years at this point. If you've dealt with it that entire time, overcoming monumental tasks like that, especially when it's relative to the thing that's causing your mental stress, is going to be much harder to deal with.
And I have a special place in my heart for Vietnam veterans, because I came in in 86, so Vietnam was over. Mm-hmm. We went through Carter, and Reagan started rebuilding the military. We're still in the Cold War. That's how old I am. I was in the Cold War when I came in. And Vietnam veterans were never really acknowledged or thanked for what they did. They were told to hide. They were told to hide. They were called baby killers. Don't wear a uniform. Don't be caught wearing your jump boots down Main Street, all that. And so now, unfortunately, they're our older generation now, because we're losing the World War II veterans and the Korean veterans that are, that because of their age. Mm-hmm. Yesterday was D-Day, 78 years from D-Day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was yesterday, 78th.
Which we didn't have a White House announcement for the second year in a row.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But it
was good to see that in Normandy, they went back, because COVID's over, they went back and did the whole parade. I don't know if y'all saw that. They did the whole shebang out there. It was amazing to see. But the Vietnam veterans are just totally forgotten. Yeah. And a lot of them never applied for their benefits because they went and hid. They didn't want nothing to do with the government. They don't trust the government. So for me to find Vietnam veterans in need, and we get a lot of them now, is get them to say, hey, we're going to set it right. So like Mr. Stout, he was rated at 10%.
I know.
And he had a stroke, and they wouldn't even let him come home. So the VA, he has a stroke, goes to the hospital. The VA said, we can't let you go home unless you have a ramp to get in and out of your house. Well, did the VA step up and give him a ramp?
Have you built me one?
No. It took his neighbor to build him one for he could at least get home.
Oh my God.
It took his neighbor.
That's insane.
That is awful.
Yeah.
So, that's the disconnect.
So that's like a negative feedback loop. It's like, you need to get this done. You can't even walk.
Yeah.
But we're not going to help you.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That is awful.
I do.
And that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
That is what's wrong.
It is.
Yeah. I do want to make a couple plugs since we're on this topic right now. For anyone who is dealing with issues with the VA, especially with the compensation and pension side, there is a White House link that you can go to. It's just White House Compensation or White House VA Investigations. They'll answer your phone call like that minute, and they'll have an answer for you within a week. And there's also a great organization that Rory Farrell runs. We've had him on the podcast before, called Zero Nexus. It's NEXXUS. They help veterans all the way back to World War II, Vietnam era.
Yeah.
They will go through your entire VA medical record, your entire military records as well, and they'll take care of the entire process for you. So there's some really good organizations out there.
And the biggest thing I tell vets is, be the hero of your own story. You have to fight. Mm-hmm. You can't give up.
Yeah.
Because you can do a lot of stuff for them. Like when I was working with Mr. Stout, I said, I can't do your paperwork for you. I can show you where to go, but you got to do it. And then you got to make this appointment.
That's what I always say.
You can't miss
the VA is difficult, but do your paperwork.
But fight. Get mad and fight.
Yeah.
You've earned, and the biggest thing, especially with a lot of veterans, is you've earned these benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your family, because it does affect your family. Those benefits can apply to your family in a lot of ways. Like Mrs. Stout now, because he's 100%, she can be seen at the VA for medical.
Exactly.
They were living below income. Now she has medical.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing you have to emphasize to a lot of veterans is you have to fight.
Shit like that, they don't showcase that.
Yeah.
There is so many benefits out there that they do not showcase.
Yeah. No, because
special adaptive housing grants. You know what I mean? It renews every 10 years. They're not announcing this.
Well, they don't announce it. They don't announce the increase every year.
Caregivers, the caregivers,
caregiver status,
caregivers,
housing grants.
Yeah.
I ran into veterans. I ran into a veteran that had uranium poisoning. Got uranium poisoning. Do you know the VA covers uranium poisoning? We're the only ones that use uranium, so it wasn't from the enemy.
Yeah.
We use it. But he was a transportation guy when he was in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were climbing in the vehicles that were blown up by A-10s or by Abrams and moving. Well, uranium gets in him. He got poisoned. He's on dialysis.
Oh, geez.
And he was trying to do that, on the civilian side and couldn't do it. And I was like, no, you're covered by that.
Yeah.
The VA should have told you you're covered.
So many of the exposure things are really starting to come out now. And I'll plug yet another nonprofit that near and dear to my heart, I absolutely love them. Hunter 7 Foundation is doing massive amounts of research. They're petitioning Congress. I mean, they sit in front of the Senate and Congress and open committees all the time discussing that exact thing, toxic exposure.
Yeah, the burn pits is our Agent Orange.
Yep.
The burn pits is the Agent Orange of this generation.
It is. It is killing people fast and faster than could track.
Look how long it took the VA to acknowledge Agent Orange.
Agent Orange, and
all the disability, all the things it causes.
They wait till everyone's dead before they start acknowledging.
Deny until you die. That's the motto.
Yeah, but let's take a moment and appreciate the Vietnam vets, because they literally paved the way. The treatment that they received coming back to this country paved the way to what our veterans have today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And all the MSOs, VSOs that have been established since then are to alleviate some of those pressures of these. So, they suffered and they sacrificed for the greater good.
Yeah, we've been
for the following generations.
We've actually been helping a lot of Vietnam veterans. That's who we've been really, and it's nothing to take away from the OIF, OEF veterans, but there's so many organizations out there to help them.
Yeah.
Where the Vietnam veterans have fallen through the cracks. And there's some that, are specific, Vietnam Veterans Association of America and things like that. But we found them, especially here in Military City, USA. Here we found them and are helping them. Because now they're at the age where they live in, they're on fixed incomes.
Yeah.
They're in their 70s, some of them are in the 80s,
Social
late
Security,
60s. Yeah, so they're a fixed income. So for a major roof leak, all of a sudden, if it's $14,000 to repair a roof, that's outside their income. So they're living with gaping holes in their ceiling and so forth.
Man.
Jesse Herrera, who we did a home for here, thanks to John Wayne Heating and Air Service Company and Mr. Rackler, I swear to God, this is a man, you would swear he was in the military because the way he runs his company and the way he's attitude. I told him, sir, you're better than some of the generals I worked for.
Yeah.
The way you are. I mean, he's just a true believer in paying back veterans and taking care of them.
I mean, they're donating hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to the local San Antonio veterans.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. They do a huge Veterans Day event at their I call it his compound, his house. It's a huge area where he even brings veterans in from the nursing homes. He buses them. He rents the buses and brings them in.
Yeah.
Feeds them on and honors them there. But
we got to have him on.
Yes.
And you talked briefly about this too.
He's amazing. I mean,
people like that you're right. I mean, they're doing more for people than a lot of generals would at that point.
And the thing I love is it's Don, his wife Pam, Johnny, Brandon, it's instilled in the whole family. The whole family's that way. And the whole family steps up and it's a family unit. It's not just him saying, we're going to go do this. It's them as a family saying, we want to do this.
Isn't that crazy how rare that is nowadays?
Oh my God,
that is true
amazing.
Patriotism. Someone who, loves and appreciates his country.
He bleeds red, white, and blue. I'm telling you, that whole family does.
Psst. Caleb, did you know? With Black Rifle Coffee's Coffee Club subscription, you can get fresh coffee shipped to you every month. What? You don't even have to go to the store. Whoa. You don't even have to leave your bed.
What? Wow. How did you get in here? You might want to go ahead and join the Black Rifle Coffee Club subscription before one of these guys shows up at your place.
I can't say enough good things about them. I mean, it's gotten to a point where I found another veteran that their whole AC heating system's been out, and there's a corrupt contractor that was taking advantage of them. And I went and did all the research on the family, made sure, verified, his service and everything. Mm-hmm. The heat was killing him. I mean, the heat, because of his medical issues, the wife was running him back and forth to the hospital. She's stressed out. All I did was text Don and said, hey, I have this family. I vetted them. They need help. He's like, I'll send my guys out there tomorrow. Sent them out, did an assessment. Not even a week later, replaced everything. They have AC and heating now. I mean, fix the electrical issues, everything.
That's incredible.
That's not cheap either.
No. I mean, he walks his walk.
Yeah.
You actually can meet some people that are truly angels walking this earth. Mm-hmm. That family's one of them. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's one of those once in a lifetime meetings that you find that, wow.
Yeah.
He's not doing it for glory. He's not doing it to get pat on the back. He does it because he believes in what the veterans have sacrificed.
It's good leadership, and it helps rekindle that fire for a lot of people too.
Oh yeah,
because we all get burned out. Even if you're continually helping people, it can lead to burnout as well. Yeah. I mean, you can spend so much of your time working for other people, but when you're around folks like that who they live that way, that is just their lifestyle, is to give back and to help. That rekindles the fire for me, definitely.
Oh, me too. I mean, because I'm not going to lie, I've battled depression where, there's so many people needing help.
Yeah.
And you want to do so much, but you're limited beyond your budget and stuff, what you have. So to have families like this, the corporations like this that really put, they've been so blessed that they realize they've been blessed, that giving back is not a question for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not about, well, what is my company going to get out of it? How do you advertise? That type of thing.
It's just part of the expectation. We exist, so
we need more of that. We need more of the business leaders and executives, founders to, take a little bit out of their pocket and give back, because, you see all these other business entities like, there are pharmaceutical companies who make billions per quarter.
I mean, I walked into his office. The first time I met him, I walked in, I emailed him and he had his son call me, and I sent him an email I walked in with Jesse Herrera's home, Vietnam veteran. I just wanted him to do all the mechanicals. It's like, if I can get you to do all the mechanicals, I'll find a builder. And it was me and his two sons there, and he looked at both of his sons and says, well, I want to be the contractor. I want to do it. I want to do it all. I left crying. I ain't gonna lie. I left crying. I called my wife crying. I was like, you wouldn't believe what just happened. Because I was ready to go to the next level. I was like, okay, I got all this.
Yeah.
I can get somebody else to step up. He did it all. He was there hands-on. He was actually out there laying down sod. I mean, from the time that we tore Jesse's home down to nothing, the buildup, dealing with the city, dealing with Military City, USA, it wasn't that easy.
Understandably.
Anything construction-wise is just a nightmare.
It's ridiculous. You want to talk about bureaucracy there?
Yeah.
We could have had Jesse in time in his house for Christmas, but because of the Historical Society of San Antonio, the city of San Antonio, they had 30 days to wait. So what they do, because we lived close enough to the missions, we were like right on that boundary. The Historical Society said, well, we want to see if people want the windows or the shiplap in the walls. I'm like, it's no good. The house was rotted from the inside out. It was so dry when we tore it down. If they would have had a fire in that home, it would have gone up in 5 minutes. It would have been gone.
Jeez.
But they made us wait an extra 30 days. Their full 30 days, even though they came out and did a walkthrough with us and inspected and we begged, they still made it wait 30 days. It's just a power play. It's about, I have power, so I'm going to make you wait, instead of really taking care of who's amount. Yeah. And I can say the congresswoman, the city councilwoman there, her office was awesome. They went to battle with us and stuff, but their hands were tied also.
Yeah.
But it's just that kind of bureaucracy. If you just make things easier, there should be some things that you look at it as at a human level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not a regulation level, not at a bureaucracy level, at a human level. What are we trying? They walked through the home. They saw the conditions he's living in. Mm-hmm. This is a human being. Yeah. Let's change his life.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point, because on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have guys, the gentleman who owns John Wayne.
Don Rackler. Yeah.
Don. You have gentlemen like Don who have the ability to affect change, and he decided to affect change for the positive. On the other side of that, you've got the Historical Society who, could fully waive that. I guarantee that there's some sort of waiver process they could go through and say, I have the ability to affect change to this individual right now. And what do? They sit on it.
Yeah.
So if you have the ability to make somebody's life easier, especially by doing nothing, they would have to do nothing. It would cost them less work to have made this person's life a little bit easier.
I wish I had a Don Rackler in every city and every state. I mean, he's a force of nature. And if I had that, we could take care of tons of veterans issues. I mean, just what he does here in the San Antonio, Lavernia. I mean, he does from Austin up to, down to the coast. I mean, he's here. He's answered the call when I needed help with veterans.
How do we inspire more people with the ability to, again, affect change like that?
The biggest thing I tell people when I go talk to them is, I promise you will get more out of it when you give than when you receive. I really believe that's what God built us.
Golly,
that's about giving.
That's a hard mentality to instill in people. Because it is a selfish world. Yes. And everybody's out for themselves.
Unfortunately it is. But there is, I really believe if you're really in touch with your spiritual side, I'm not talking about religion, but just spiritually who you are, we're built to give. We do. I think that's why we have such a great volunteer force in the military, is because that sense of wanting to give back, that sense of wanting to put on a uniform and be something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Well,
and you don't have to have the uniform once you leave the military to keep doing that. And that's what, I hate to say this, I think it's harder on the civilian side to get them to understand that than it is for veterans. Because if you run into a lot of veterans, Robert was in the military.
Yep.
He got it. He gets it. A lot of the nonprofits were started by veterans.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a societal thing, right? Is we structure, the domestication of, our country into believing in certain systems and to think inside of a box.
Yeah.
Right? The military really strips that down.
Oh, yeah.
And it teaches you how to sit outside of those societal standards and think outside the box a little bit. So you kind of get a little dip into something that you don't get in the civilian sector, right? You think of everything as very bureaucratic, right? Red tape and stuff. You're adding amendments to everything. That's what it is. It's like we're not clearing out or purging all the old school stuff. We're just adding on top of it,
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
We just add on top of it.
What's so crazy about that, the military is so structured, and we have our structure, and we have like the UCMJ we have to follow. We have regulations for everything.
Yeah.
But when you're in your job or you're deployed, the first thing they teach you is think outside the box. What can we do to get it done? Okay, we understand there's a regulation, but we have some gray area.
Yeah.
How can we fall in that gray area to get this done?
Yeah.
And there's that mentality to figure it out, to problem solve. And the other thing the military does great, it teaches you that you earn rank and you move up, but you have to start at the bottom. You start off as a private or an airman, you can move up to a staff, tech. You can go all the way to E9. The only one that stops you is you. You have to fill these boxes and you do it. The problem on the civilian side I see a lot is, well, I just graduated college. I want a management position. I want to go straight run to a business. No. Or I'm working at a restaurant. Well, I don't want to be a dishwasher.
Entitlement.
Yeah.
That's entitlement.
Work.
I'm waiting for a management job, so I'm not working until I get a management job. What experience do you have?
Yeah.
What experience do you have to run a restaurant or do anything?
Yeah. It's accurate. Yeah. It is a sense of entitlement.
And so I don't want to civilian bash or anything, because there's a lot of great civilians. The one thing I love about John Wayne Service Company and what Don does, from the top down, if you meet his employees or they ever come out to your house to do something, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. He's instilled from him down, like a general does for your command.
Yeah.
You will follow these rules and you will follow how we treat people, and you will have customer service and stuff. He's instilled that in a lot of young people. And he brings them in and trains them. Hey, you want to be a journeyman? You want to earn good money? You don't have to go to college to earn good money. You can be a journeyman plumber or a journeyman electrician. Get started, get your feet wet, get your license, pass your test, and you'll start earning more.
Yeah. So we've kind of touched on the topic of a lot of the red tape that you're going to face, with VA, other government entities to help facilitate some of the veterans' needs. So let's kind of shift the conversation over to what Operation Triage is doing to bridge that gap and some of the work you guys are doing. So one of the great reasons we had you back on the show is because, episode 3, this was a newer organization, right? You had almost just started this. Now, a year later, where are we sitting? What have we done?
Oh my God, it's crazy. We have, and some of the things that I deal with, talking about the misclaimers, I like to say, we've paid for numerous veterans' funerals. A lot of people think, the government covers it all. No, the government covers, if you want to be buried at a state funeral, they'll give you the plot and the headstone. But as the family, it's your problem to get the casket.
Yeah.
And to get them there and so forth. So a lot of families, they have their parents passed away or their veteran passed away. They can afford that. So we've paid for a lot of funerals. We have collected a lot of wheelchairs and power chairs and refurbished them and given them to veterans that for some reason the VA is not getting them one or they're not eligible for the VA. So we've helped out with that. We've given them to nursing homes to help them get them to their VA appointments and things like that.
Okay.
We've done numerous remodels here recently. A great story about, and this is one I want to touch on. San Marcos. I can't say enough about their code compliance office. So they have a code compliance office, and what they do is they drive around and make sure homes are in compliance with the city ordinance. So you may drive up to a home, you see 5 or 6 cars in the parking lot.
So like the grass a glorified HOA.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they work for the city.
Okay.
But the thing I love about St. Marcos is they found out about us and they called and say, hey, we have this veteran, he's elderly, he's in his 70s, on a fixed income, has a tarp over his roof. We need to get it fixed. Is that something you can do? We went out there, met him, verified his service, repaired his roof, and also cleaned up the grass and everything. So they're making an effort to get these people in compliance where they don't get all these fines and get into a bigger hole and get the help they need. So we've worked with them hand in hand. We even had furniture donated to us that we don't have a place to store it, but we give it to them and they're giving it to veteran families who are low-income families that they're getting, urban housing with their VA, voucher 8s. I forget. Mm-hmm. That's probably not the right word, but the VA gives out vouchers if you're a homeless veteran to get a home or get into an apartment.
Yeah,
they have that voucher program. So they need furniture. They get the home, but they don't have nothing put in. So we're working with the City of San Marcos. So the City of San Marcos has really stepped up, and one of those entities that have said, let's look outside the box. How can we help? Instead of just being the guys that are the bad guys that are going to write citations and cause problems for families. Let's find out, what this family's needs are and see if we can help them and make it a better community. So we've developed a great partnership with them, and we'd like to see that with other cities. I mean, we'd like to see it with New Braunfels, San Marcos, San Antonio, to follow San Marcos's lead, because it's not just about, you got to get the right person there as compassionate. We got to have compassion for each other and empathy for each other. Mm-hmm. And I think the last couple of years with COVID and stuff, a lot of people have lost that empathy, and we need to go back to that.
Absolutely.
We need to go back to caring for each other.
It is like everyone became socially awkward, right? Interaction is nil.
Yeah, exactly.
And the self-centeredness of people has escalated exponentially.
Yeah.
You have people that now just don't talk to other people, right?
Yeah.
But it's amazing to hear that there is government entities that are working with MSOs, VSOs. And I think that that's a huge thing that we're facing nowadays.
Yeah.
Is now you have, the Robert Irvine Foundation. Robert Irvine is specifically helping with the DFACs and helping with the nutrition in the military.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is something that we have not seen before over the last couple of years. This is a new thing. So it's really amazing that the city is recognizing, hey, we could use outside help to...
Yeah. Oh, we have such a great relationship with them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They'll call me up. It's like, hey, they're doing their things. We ran into another veteran. We've done the roof repair. We've done the furniture thing with them. Unfortunately, we ran into a veteran that there's a lot of veterans out there that their mental health has got to be taken care of first, and physical stuff needs to be taken care of first. But I met with them, and we met with this veteran, and I said, this is what needs to be done with him. This is the help he needs right now. Fixing the house is not a priority because he's not in a stable place to take care of the home, even if you fix it. So there's a lot of giving back and a lot of great synergy there that I really love working with them because they care. And that's what we got to get back to as a society. Start caring for each other.
Just care.
We don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah.
We don't. It's okay to disagree, but care for each other.
Yes.
Care for each other.
Like we were talking about in the very beginning, we touched on politics a little bit. I mean, we danced around it, and I think it's still within our wheelhouse to discuss. But if you want your local government, if you are local government and you want your local area civilian populace to be trusting of you, stop focusing on code compliance by fining people and by making it more difficult. Stop ruining their days or ruining parts of their life. If you have the ability to go out there and say, hey, this is what's wrong, but we know who you can talk to get this fixed.
Yeah.
That's that is instilling so much more confidence in your local government and your local elected officials and everyone who's there to support the local community. That'll reinstill that confidence immediately.
But also help keep those families in their homes that they've worked hard for. Because what's happening a lot, especially right now with the way the housing market is, there's what I call economic genocide being pushed on a lot of these communities. Like New Braunfels has grown, where I live at, has grown so much, and people want to live inside the loop. So taxes have gone crazy. The little homes and the appraisals on these homes have gone crazy. So unless the family's if they're on a fixed income and applied for, for the senior citizens, they have a cutoff.
Yeah.
But they're still paying some taxes and so forth. Help them stay there. Okay, they need some help cutting their grass. Get some Boy Scouts to volunteer. If they're a veteran, call a nonprofit that can help pay for them to have their grass cut. Don't just go find and incur more cost on them.
Or just say good luck. Like, the veteran who's going to kill himself for that kind of situation is, if just a simple solution would be educating our VA administration staff on the resources that are out there. That's all they would have to do. And there's resources in the VA, but they're hard to find. And no one that works there is educated on that. Can you imagine calling in and be like, hey, I know you're having a difficulty with your application for, disability. We know this Zero Nexus. Why don't you go to them and they'll help you facilitate the paperwork so we're not having you do this, and this.
Unfortunately, it costs some money.
Yeah.
To me, that's the biggest thing with the VA. They want to keep their budget, but they don't want to share it with the veterans. They don't want the veterans to know these are available.
Yeah, they're gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Because have you ever seen, we do a special adapted housing grants. I know where to go find out how much the grant is now, but do you ever see the VA send out something saying, hey, the grant got increased this year. It's now $101,000 to get your home from, you don't ever hear that.
I thought it was 96 still.
No, it's 101 as of this year, 101,000.
Yeah, it was 96 last year.
For the special adaptive, which is 10 years now, and I always have to reiterate that, is every 10 years you get $101,000.
Yeah.
That's awesome that it went up though.
And they don't showcase that. And that goes on
but like somebody like you that had your house, that you're eligible for that, they should be sending you a letter saying, hey, by the way, the grant has increased. The only time you hear about it is if you go file a claim or you go file something, then they send you, okay, your claim was increased or your claim was decreased.
Gatekeepers to money.
And by the way, here's some of the stuff you're eligible for. That's the only time you hear about it.
Yeah. And this goes back to your topic of just be a decent human being.
My motto is treat everybody the way you want to be treated.
I mean, the golden rule.
Treat everybody the way you want to be treated.
You don't have to necessarily be religious in any sense.
No.
But just do unto others. Right? Yeah. I don't treat anybody, outside the box of how I want to be treated. Myself,
exactly.
Right?
I like the silver rule. Treat people what they're worth.
Disclaimer. But
someone's gonna freak out.
If you're at the VA or if you're somewhere where you've been in a job too long that it makes you cynical and it makes you cold, maybe it's time to ask to be moved and go look for a different job within the VA.
Yeah,
let somebody in there that wants to actually help.
Yeah. But I do think that it instills an environment of that mentality.
Well,
it breeds an environment.
The biggest issue of the VA is that it takes an act of Congress to fire somebody. And to me, and I always tell people this, and you can agree with me or not, but it's a mafia system where they know, okay, every 4 years somebody's going to get elected by the president to run the VA. We're here forever.
Yeah.
So they can say whatever they want.
That's another problem.
They can do whatever they want, but if there's, if we get busted for something bad and it's in the media, he's going to get nailed. He's the one that's going to get fired. We'll weather the storm. Because the head of the VA administration that was out of Phoenix, the one that was doctoring all the appointment times and stuff, she's still working for them. They just moved her. They just moved her.
God.
They tried to fire her 3 times. Congress couldn't fire her. Go research it. Congress cannot get rid of her. They just move her. They're like the Catholic Church. They move the priest around. They move them around. That's the way I compare it to. They don't get rid of them. They just move them around.
Yeah.
So the problem doesn't go away, and they don't set any standards saying this is intolerable. We're not going to put up with it. You're gone. They don't get rid of them.
Fuck, that's crazy.
So they're still getting their paycheck. They're still getting which I don't understand. Why in the hell anybody in the VA is getting a bonus? They get bonuses, which I don't understand. Maybe it's to keep them there or be competitive, but I think that's intolerable.
That should work.
And the sad thing is, the VA is there for a really good purpose. The VA, if you understand how the VA came about, the VA came about because the chief of staff at the time said, we need to send somewhere to our veterans to be taken care of medically. And where's the best place to do is build them next to university hospitals.
Yeah.
So the VA here is built to University Hospital. So all their interns and all their trainees go to the VA to learn. And they have great doctors that work at the university, professors that work at the VA also. They go back and forth.
Yeah.
And they train. A lot of technologies come from the VA that would never have been found.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Very
great
much
stuff
so.
with the VA. The problem is such a bureaucracy and people know that there's no accountability, that they can get away with stuff, that it's created that sense of the mafia.
Yeah, there's no
we're above the law.
Yeah, no incentive or disincentive.
Exactly.
Right.
I always say run it like the military. Run like the military. Be honest with their performance reports, and if they don't do good,
But you can't be honest because you're going to hurt someone's feelings.
oh, don't get me started on that, please.
Yeah, we got to be cognizant of people's feelings nowadays. Don't worry.
That's half the reason I left the last nonprofit I was with.
Yeah, that's constructive criticism doesn't survive very well.
Yeah,
in the
people need a
civilian
hug,
sector.
and I need a timeout. Let me have my dark room. I need
Yelled
to
at
go in
me.
time around. Yeah,
Yelled at me.
I need 6 months vacation.
So, with our last couple minutes here, we have, talked a lot about VA's discrepancies, but also its positive notes. Let's talk a little bit more about the future of Operation Triage. Where do you see that going? When we sit you back down a year from now, where is Operation Triage?
So the best thing about Operation Triage, we have no paid employees. We have, I'm basically retired dealing with medical stuff. My wife still works. She's a nurse. And we've come to the conclusion that this is what makes us really happy, that this is what we want to do when we both finally retire. That, you have to have something to fall back on, because if not, you just rot sitting at home.
Yeah.
And this is where our passion is helping veterans and helping first responders, because we help first responders also.
Yeah.
This is what we want to do when we retire. We're still going to have time for ourselves, but this is going to be our focus.
Yeah.
So we have no paid employees, and we decided we're going to let it grow organically. We really don't have a 5 or 10 year plan. We just want to let it grow, and we want to help as many as we can and help those that really need help. We're not, we're about giving a hand up, not a hand out. We're not looking to do extreme makeover homes. We're not looking to, having to compete with great, bigger nonprofits.
And that's going to keep you honest, in my opinion, is that there is major MSOs, VSOs out there that are pushing like a public entity where it's about performance, and you kind of fall off the bandwagon of what true impact is all about.
No, when I got out, I worked for 2 other nonprofits and been down that road. And the 2 that I worked for were startups. I helped start them up. And going in, it was great.
It's always like that when you start it.
Going in was great. But then to me, the thing that takes over is egos and paychecks.
Yes.
People's egos. Oh, look how great we are. And they're starting to pat themselves on the back.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to write a book about myself, and I want this award, or, those types of things. And I've never been about that,
Or they focus too much on the money.
Yeah. Money.
Well, yeah, money. And all of a sudden they're getting pay raises and bonuses. And we need more money to make payroll. Even though that veteran needs it more, we're going to pay a celebrity, to be our spokesperson. I've seen that a lot. We're going to pay somebody $400,000 to be our spokesperson, when that $400,000 could have paid
out of
10 homes.
Nonprofit
I could have built
budget.
10 homes with that. I mean, I could remodel 10 homes easy.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, and that's the biggest dollar for your impact, the bang for your buck is a big thing too, is $400,000 for one person to come in, or $400,000 that could affect, gradation of individuals who need help.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to, like Jesse's home. Jesse already owned the private, his family home. It was built in 1914.
Okay.
But the home was in such disrepair that we had to tear it down. And we just built him basically the same footprint that he had there. They didn't need nothing bigger. They didn't need a 2-story, 6,000 square foot home, with a jacuzzi and a pool in the back. No, to me, that's not serving your donors and your sponsors right. We're going to give you what you need. This is exactly what you need. We're going to give you better than what you have, and we're going to help you recover. We're going to help say thank you. The biggest thing I take away from Jesse's dedication, we had a small dedication for him, and Jesse spoke, and Jesse says, as a Vietnam veteran, today I finally felt like I'm home.
Wow.
Man.
I'm finally felt, and that's what I want. Yeah. That's what we're about, is helping those Jessies. I always tell everybody, and I think I mentioned it last time, there's a story about the little boy on the beach and thousands of starfish, and he's sitting there throwing one back at a time. This grumpy old man comes up and says, hey, you can't save them all. But he's like, I ain't saved this one.
Yeah.
That's what we're about, is we're saving. We don't have to be, I don't want to be the biggest and baddest. I want to be able to make a mark that is genuine, that is true, that is about our mission. And to me, what's our mission is the people. The people always come first.
Yes.
When it's not about the people that we help anymore, then I don't want to do it anymore. That's who it's about. It's not about me. It's not about my wife. It's not about our board members. It's not about who's getting recognized for doing what. It's about the families. And that's one of the things I love about going back to Don Rackler.
Yeah.
It's about the families. He gets it. That's where we connect so well together. It's amazing. I thank God that he put us together because he understands. It's about, let's get them taken care of. I'm blessed, you're blessed. Let's take care of them. And that's who we're looking for. I need more people like that. I need a lot more people like that.
I think we all need more people like that,
so
Dan.
too.
I really do. I think that you are a unique individual, and that most people are out for the credit of themselves. Is what can I do that'll showcase how good I am?
Yeah.
Right. And you're not about that, and I've always known that about you. There's only now 3 because I got remarried. I have to throw my wife in there or she'll get mad at me. There's only 3 people I worry about who think who I am: my wife, my daughter, and God. Yeah,
that's all that matters. Because my daughter, I don't get emotional. I'm so proud of her. She's getting married in December, but she graduated high school early, graduated college early. She's a full-time nurse in the ICU at University Hospital. I felt the biggest thing I've ever done in my legacy is her. Because being around the wounded veterans that I've worked with and hanging out with them and getting to know them led her to a career path into nursing. And she is such a giving back person. She cares about her patients. She cares so much that I have to worry about it. I do like a buddy call with her, like, okay, how was your week? She went straight from college right into the ICU during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
For 2 years, she's worked directly with COVID. She's seen more death than most nurses in their whole career.
And it's easy to take that personally.
Well, she's gone to funerals. She's made contacts. She's made contacts with the family and gotten to know the family so well. She just drove to Dallas a couple of weeks ago for a funeral for a young lady.
Man.
Because she felt that connection.
Somebody who truly cares.
And to me, that's what's a legacy should be.
Well, that legacy that you passed on, brother, is your heart. It really is.
But I think that's what's the most important thing, and to pass it on to the families we deal with. Like the people that you're working with. Those guys that you went on that hike with for 56 miles. The things that you talked to them and spoke to them about. One of the greatest compliments I ever got. I got a call from a veteran about a year ago, and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know because of you, I stopped drinking and I got my shit together, and I'm going back to school."
Saving
when
lives.
I met him, he was popping his pills and drinking. He just needs somebody to listen to him, somebody to vent to. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
Just having someone listen nowadays is so important.
Yeah.
And it's so rare.
Truly listen.
Truly listen. Truly listen. Well, Dan, you are an incredible man, and we're going to definitely have you back on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys and talking to y'all.
So tell everybody, remind them where they could find you and your organization.
We're on all social media, Operation Triage. You can go to operationtriage.org. You can also call our office number 830-632-6702. But if you IM us on social media, we answer right away. If you send us an email off our webpage, we'll answer right away. And I can't promise you we can fix everything, but if we can't fix it, we'll help you find somebody who can help you. That's the other thing. We're not just going to say no and leave you hanging. We'll help find that person for you. We're a small organization. We're all volunteers. My other guys that are with me and board members have jobs. Mm-hmm. So be a little patient with us, but we won't leave you alone. We'll help you find the help that you need. That I can promise you.
One of the most incredible resources that we have. This man, Dan,
truly,
Operation Triage.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us today, Dan. It's been a great talking to you, and
thank you.
It's always a pleasure. This has been the Medevac Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Please be sure to share this, like it, comment.
Ask questions. If you guys are facing any issues in the VA right now that you have any questions at all, drop a comment below. We'll make sure Dan gets it. I know Dan's going to be tracking it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And then, we might have episodes on where we could answer some questions. So
absolutely.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
See you later. Bye.